you could use it for yourself. Before we get on to that, I want to just open up with an example because, I didn't, well, I knew it was there, but I sort of didn't know how to use it. So let me just and I'll show you the magic. It's magic actually. When I find sharing that's the one. Right, so yeah,
what's happening?
Who is
I think the drones have got us.
About it.
You there, Alan?
Yeah, I'm here, but I don't think you can hear me, and it seems as though we've broken down.
I can hear you fine,
No,
but I can't hear Andy.
Yeah, I have the same problem.
I'll go back to my phone then.
No, he's completely out of it.
Well, we know that. Right, that's a clear.
Okay, there's just us two at the moment. Andy, hi, you're back.
Yeah, I'm back now. I've had to use my phone because
you want to start. Can we start again?
It's not exactly. Yeah, I'm going to have to reset my computer properly. So, Alan, explain about ChatGPT then and your experiences. It wasn't coming up on the computer for me tonight. I thought I had it fixed.
No problems. Well, I'm very new to AI, artificial intelligence, but people that are interested, if you do a Google search on this, and then get the app for Chat GPT, Golf Papa Tango, and then you can ask them questions about anything. I mean, I'm asking them questions, and they're helping me to put the package together. On three examples, I've got a county court hearing on the 2nd of June because I was involved in a road traffic accident with National Farmers Union. I don't want to go deep into the depths, but I wrote to them asking what sort of information they could give me, and they were absolutely fantastic. The incredible thing is the speed. I mean, you imagine that you are speaking to people, but you're not. It's you're speaking to, and they're responding. Is a huge, when I say huge, computer, and they know all about everything. And as you were saying earlier, Andy, they could be misused and it could be abused. But at this moment in time, I'm finding it wonderful. The other thing that they're helping me on is, and they're giving me information on the infamous Dransfield vexatious case. And what they're saying to me is that it is unlawful. And it talks like what we need to do is to make we need more public awareness, which is not such a bad thing. On all, I mean, the thing is, the Three Musketeers, we're all vexatious in accordance with the Information Commissioner, and they've used the Dransfield vexatious court president to prevent Andy and Len getting information. So that's what it's all about. So if Joe Blogs were to go and do a Google search, get the app for this, and for example, there are hundreds, if not thousands, of people out there that have asked for freedom of information, and they have been turned down based upon the Dransfield vexatious nonsense, bullshit for a better word. But they will put a file together. They'll ask you questions, and you can give it answers, and they'll say, "Well, that's not such a good idea. Well, why don't you try this?" It is absolutely fantastic.
So, just for people who don't know, let's say Len then, what was the first question Len would ask? You know, I mean, I asked it on my computer, who is Poison Pilot Len Lawrence? You know, it gave me all the details that's on the web and some things I've never seen. But, you know, what question would Len ask the AI then?
Yeah, as we've all got personal problems with the freedom of information and the problems that we have. Len, as you're saying, he is a former BA pilot, British Airways pilot, and he has blown the whistle. Now, if he was to go get set up with AI, get the app, and then just put a little email to them and say, could you please help me to formulate or advise how I take this forward, and then just give them a brief summary. My name is so and so and so and so. I've done this and I've done that. And by the time you've put that down and you've sent it, you haven't even got time to take a drink or make a cup of coffee. They'll come back to you and say, "Well, yes, hi, Len. Well, we've looked at this, and we are alarmed at what's happened to you from your whistleblowing, etc., etc." And the same with anyone that's got a problem. It's not just a problem, obviously, with vexatious. I'm obviously chasing this because it's deep into my heart, but it's deep into your guys' heart as well. I mean, it knows everything about everything, and it's frightening. It really is frightening. But they're on your side, believe me. I mean, I can't imagine. I mean, who invented this, for example? I don't know. Maybe we ought to ask them. I mean, is there a huge, great computer sitting in an office somewhere, and is it being overseen by humans? I don't know. Have the human race lost all control on this? Is it a machine that's working and giving the answers? But for sure, it's going to be huge.
Right. Anyway, I've got my answer to my question now. And it says Len Lawrence is a former British aerospace pilot who became a prominent advocate for awareness of organophosphates poisoning resulting from contaminated cabin air pressure, etc. His health deteriorated after multiple incidents of exposure to toxic fumes, leading to neurological damage and a protected legal and medical battle. See, it's put into a nice sort of, you know, what they've done. I think they've picked bits from the internet and made it a bit more, jazzy. They've jazzed that up. Then it says the next headline, just for example, background and health issues. It talks about memory loss, cognitive impairments, then legal and institutional challenges despite medical evidence supporting this condition, psychiatry evaluation. I mean, it's amazing. I'm going to cut and paste that, Len. Send it to you. I think that was quite good.
Yeah, see, I learned a lot from Alan, and there's many other people like Alan in the shadows, in the background, that help me. And when I come across a particular obstruction, I came across one with Devon and Cornwall, please, where they wouldn't professional standards where they wouldn't give me a disclosure. And I spoke with Alan, and it was the Helsinki judgment, wasn't it, which you sent me?
Magyar Botsik Helsinki, or whatever it is. Yeah, yes, it was. Yeah.
I then emailed Devon and Cornwall Police that ruling, and within 24 hours, I got the disclosure I required. And it's basically gaining access to this information. And since I've been doing these programs with you, Andy, you seem to have a US platform, because I'm getting a lot of communications from America.
Absolutely, yeah. It's a US.
Yeah.
It's a US-based platform, ftjmedia.com, and the term Helsinki judgment can refer to several legal or ethical frameworks. I try to find that particular word, but it's not there. But yeah, what does that actually mean, the Helsinki judgment?
What it is that they were a group of people in Hungary, I do believe it was, and
That's true.
they put a freedom of information into their local police, and the police had come back and said, "Look, no, we don't have to give you this. We're the police. We're above everything. You can't have this." And they took them to the Court of Appeal, no, the European Court of Human Rights, and the European Court of Human Rights upheld their request to say, look, the police, you are not above the law. You must give the information that they're requiring about your identification. So that was a major breakthrough. And I haven't looked it up again, but I'm just testing my memory. It was called Magyar Helsinki Bizottság. That was the full title of it.
Anyway, Alan
if
sent
you
that.
Can get some, sorry, you carry on in Midland. I'm just thinking in my head regarding Helsinki. So that Helsinki was a different way of getting information without Dransfield vexatious rule and being thrown at you. Surely there's got to be another way then of getting other information without being called vexatious.
Well, the thing is, at this moment in time, nobody knows how many times this Dransfield vexatious court precedent has been used. But maybe now that we have this machine, and I've called my machine that I'm speaking to Walter, that's my pet name. So we'll just call him Walter. He's not a person. And another one of our buddies, Shaz, he has guided me through this. And he said, Alan, you're not talking to anybody. There are no people there. I said, well, okay. It's a machine there sitting somewhere, and they're giving me all the right answers to my questions. So I'm taken in by it. They're on our side, they or whatever.
Right. Like, I learned a lot from Alan, and when I've needed advice, I've contacted him, and it's been freely given. You
haven't got the bill yet.
Yeah. One of the problems, I got section under the Mental Health Act. In fact, under Part 7 of the Mental Health Act, 1983, when only a judge in a High Court Family Division, Chancery Division, or a nominated Court of Protection judge could deal with my affairs. One of the problems you face, you are not allowed, or it's not in your mental health interest or the public interest to disclose the information to you. So you're up against a brick wall. And I had this problem recently, probably a year and a half ago, with the Independent Office of Police Conduct Southwest. And I did a subject access request for their data on my case. And after a month, and that's their time span, it wasn't forthcoming. So I referred the Independent Office for Police Conduct Southwest to the Information Commissioner. And fortunately, they came on my side, and it had been 6 months and still no information was forthcoming from the IOPC. And anyway, following the Information Commissioner's intervention, I got a disclosure. And that disclosure was very interesting. It gave the background to why I was attacked viciously by England Somerset Police under Chief Constable Sarah Crew. But according to Avon Somerset Police, their instructions came from Thames Valley Police under Chief Constable Campbell and Deputy, now Chief Constable Jason Hogg, with a significant involvement with Hampshire Police. And the disclosure was very interesting. Police Superintendent Claire Arms, the head of operational support of Avon and Somerset Police in 2022, when I got arrested, had a finding against her by professional standards for the obstruction of justice in my case involving Judge Simon Oliver, that's the worshipful brother, Simon Oliver from Berkshire Freemasonry, the Court of Appeal, the Court of Protection, and Master Mary Bancroft Rimmer. And that's what led to me being raided and the attempt made to section me. If only I would have been told that at the time of my arrest, you then understand what's going on and you can furbish a defense. But anyway, I have that now, and there's been a very, very silencing. When I 48 hours after I was arrested, Chief Superintendent Claire Arms was stood down from her post as head of operational support in charge of police custody and criminal investigation, and later transferred to the College of Policing. So we got that vital information, then we were able to expand on that. But that took 6 months. It's such a long time. Had the IOPC given me that information straight away, then there wouldn't have been a requirement for the Information Commissioner. But when you go to the Information Commissioner, it all depends on who you get. Some of these people are very good. Others are hopeless, a waste of time. And you just get thrown into the long grass. But I've done quite a few subject access requests. And the latest two I've done involved the nurse who accused me of terrorism, multiple threats against the public, of anthrax attacks on the public. That's a nurse within Somerset NHS Foundation Trust, mental health nurse. And I've now got the disclosure. In fact, I've had another email this week from the Royal College of Nursing admitting that they didn't investigate this mental health nurse. 3 years it's taken for that. And the trust could provide, Somerset NHS Mental Health Trust were unable to provide any evidence that they conducted the investigation. And in fact, when I did go for a disclosure initially against Somerset NHS Trust, I got a limited disclosure. I appealed to the trust. I got a few more documents. Then I was stonewalled. I went to the Information Commissioner, and I think it was the Director of Investigations became involved, and Somerset NHS Caldecott Guardian, that's the man who safeguards your records. They then authorised the disclosure to me, and more than 120 people associated with Somerset NHS Trust entered my medical records following me being arrested, and a number of them absolutely trashed me. Of course, alleging that I'd beaten up my wife and children, acts of terrorism, threats to a High Court judge, you name it, they threw it at me. But it was interesting. one judge's name gets mentioned, and surprise, surprise, the worshipful brother Simon Oliver. And the copper who oversaw the employee of Somerset NHS Police who oversaw my arrest was a Freemason, and the year-long investigation. And the solicitor they chose for me wasn't the duty solicitor, wasn't the specialist brain injury solicitor. It was a provincial grand officer from Somerset Freemasonry. I was being set up long time. Anyway, but thanks to subject access requests, after 3 years, I now have all that data. But there's a lot of people who are so traumatized by this, these attacks by mental health nurses. And what I've come to learn over the last 3 years, that a lot of people involved, particularly females who've encountered difficulties with Somerset, even Somerset Police, find themselves encountering difficulties with mental health nurses. And that warrants a lot more, that warrants what is known as a freedom of information request to find out how many people who have been involved with Somerset Police find themselves under, have been referred to mental health services, because it's a fantastic way of reducing the crime figures.
Absolutely, a good explanation there. Really good, Len. I think the common denominator between us three is we are all accused of being vexatious. Now that is, it is a terrible perverting of the justice when these people, and going back to the county court, not the county court, the Court of Appeal in my case, they're using vexatious. I could sit here all night and tell you all the cases without looking at notes. But, you know, the first one that comes to mind is the post office. It is a disgrace. They've had Dransfield vexatious deemed against them, but you know they've lost because they've cheated and lied. And what AI will do, what they're doing for me at this moment in time, they're trying to get as much information as they can from me personally on my case. And I told them that I was meeting, and I gave your two names, and I'm sure you don't mind me saying that, that have been deprived of their legal, civil, and human rights because of the Dransfield vexatious case. So what we need to do is to get more people, get this 3 or 4 people going. But you know, I could add another 4 or 5 names to this, and it needs to grow. It needs to snowball. That's what it's all about.
Yeah, it's like you mentioned a man called Shaz, where his brother's been held in a care home for, was it 1.5 years now?
600 days, yeah, 660 days.
Yeah. And all you see is him being stonewalled. We lost Alan.
I don't know why that's happened. My blood pressure has just come on. I don't know what's gone wrong here.
Yeah, so Shaz,
Shaz
is
been stonewalled. Yeah,
he lives up. I think it's Bradford, isn't he? Pakistan.
Yes, it's Bradford. Yes, it's Bradford.
His brother was put into care, and where Shaz was looking after him. I've seen photographs of Shaz's house. It is absolutely immaculately clean, spotless. Yet the poor, his brother's been taken away, and every attempt for Shaz to recover his brother, stonewalled all the time, stonewalled. And that's what happened in my case. And it was only because of Andy here, Kevin Ball, and others that I was able to get my story out. And they don't like it. But if what happened to me, where I was poisoned as a commercial pilot, And not only pilots are poisoned, cabin crew and passengers are. It's what they did to me after. And that attack came from the government legal services, presently headed by Susan McGibbon, the Treasury solicitor. They've done everything to me. Allegation after allegation after allegation. And then my case came before Berkshire Freemason, the worshipful brother Simon Oliver. And Simon Oliver wasn't even a court of protection judge, but he decided he would do my case. Then he was told to send it to the Court of Appeal, but he's never retransferred it. And he's held me since, 2012 now, under the Mental Health Act, when he wasn't authorised. And what happened, a website got created. It was called Judges Behaving Badly, and it focused on Judge Simon Oliver. And what was interesting about that website, as when I was being questioned by Avon and Somerset Police, as I said, had Thames Valley Police listened to these victims and their mothers, their young children, their vulnerable adults, the elderly, then that website would possibly never have been created. But the Thames Valley and other forces weren't investigating these crimes on vulnerable adults. In fact, around about 2018, when Her Majesty's Inspector of Constabulary went into Thames Valley under Chief Constable Francis Hapgood and Deputy Chief Constable, later Chief Constable John Campbell, in just 1 year, over 35,000 crimes had not been recorded. Those crimes were rape, sexual assaults, domestic violence, vulnerable adult and vulnerable children's cases. And this website got created. And what happened, people started to pass the details around and make postings. And you then start to learn you're not alone. He's done it to other people. And in fact, he's done it to too many. But it was how the system were very quick to shut that website down rather than investigate all these cases of child abuse, which was being covered up. And
if I may, would I be able to read, and then we'll give Alan a shout, a biography. We're talking AI again. ChatGPT.com has given me the biography of His Honour Judge Simon Oliver, and it's very interesting. But it's towards the end. He's a senior judge in the English legal system with a particular focus on family and court protection cases. He has served in the various judicial capacities, including a district judge at Reading County Court. Now, this bit is interesting, and then it gets more interesting. He's also served as a court protection judge. Maybe, yeah, I'm confused on that one if he didn't have the certificates. Anyway.
Later appointed one.
Appointed, right.
Later.
So the judicial career and appointments, Judge Oliver's held several positions over the years. He was obviously a district judge, magistrate court on the 1st of November 21, served in London and South Eastern Circuit, based out of Westminster Magistrates Court. Prior to this, he'd experience as a deputy district judge and as an environmental and traffic adjudicator.
No.
I find that...
You've got the wrong Judge Oliver there.
Sure?
Yeah. Simon Oliver was a barrister. He later became heavily involved in special educational needs cases. Then around about January 2012, he was appointed a circuit judge at Reading County Court. And
well, the next bit's interesting because it says Court of Protection Jurisdiction in 2012. It was revealed that Judge Simon Oliver did not hold the necessary nominations to sit as a court protection judge.
Correct.
It must be the same one.
Yeah.
This came to light during proceedings involving Leonard Lawrence, where concerns were raised about the lack of appropriate legal authority in the case. Yes. Now, the next bit is interesting too. Sexual misconduct allegations. There have been serious allegations about Judge Oliver, including claims of inappropriate behaviour, in the courtroom and request for sexual favours in exchange for favourable judgments. And there's all links on here regarding all that. Bribery allegations, contempt of court case. A Polish woman was, I mean, amazing what this AI can do. It's definitely the way
Oliver had and others who had protected him, and he has been protected. He was protected by the former Grand Secretary of English Freemasonry, David Staples, when the worshipful master of the Masonic Lodge I belong to wrote to David Staples, raising serious concerns about Oliver and these women. But nothing was done. He was dismissed, and he went on and he's carried on. But there comes a time, Andy, when there's just too many people, and it comes back to bite.
That's basically what this AI is saying.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's going to make matters worse for them. It really will. Then, what I would suggest and recommend that you guys and anyone else that's listening to this is to get set up with that. I mean, there's no cost for it. There are no problems as long as you don't mind your name being aired across the world. And I certainly don't. I don't know, and I don't care. I want people to know who I am, and I want to know who's going to help me. And what they're talking about at AI is, in the first instance, a book, or then a film or drama based upon something like Alan Bates at the post office.
Yeah, there's two very good Netflix DVDs of films, and the first one is called Dark Waters, and I'll send you the details, Andy. Dark Waters is about the Teflon coating on pans. It was deadly poisonous, and how that was covered up for many years. It's very similar to aerotoxic. They've known about this problem since 1955, and they've covered it up. And the other film is I Care a Lot, starring Rosalind Pike. Now that is very much linked to the Court of Protection in the UK and the official solicitors, and particularly vulnerable elderly people. They're suddenly, for want of a kidnapped, in the sense that they lose all legal right to their property. They're placed under the Court of Protection, and judges and solicitors and barristers systematically asset strip them. And certain judges' names keep coming up all the time. And one of those names is Simon Oliver. And whenever Simon Oliver wants to go to Grand Lodge, I'm happy to meet him there, and this can be discussed, but not in secret. Let the public come in, because a lot of these court cases are held in secret. The secret family courts, where you can't talk, you're under threats of imprisonment, seizure if you dare to speak out of it. This is 2025, but the police, it's the senior officers where these problems rest, trying to protect their image. So at the moment, the most obstructive is Thames Valley, Avon and Devon and Cornwall. What's the other one? Hampshire Police. I've had difficulties with City of London, very obstructive. But eventually you find a way round and you gain the information. But you always get the good cops who ring you up or send you the data you're never meant to see. But like I say, the first process is the subject access request. And when you do a subject access request or freedom of information, it's always worth doing in a very short summary why you want the information. Just to try and eliminate this allegation of it being branded a vexatious request. But like I say, I've had some success. I've got all the information. I know. I know who did this to me. I know the people who have covered it up. And primary at the moment, the Premier League player is Chief Superintendent Claire, presently at the College of Policing, and she was at the centre of this, and it involved Simon Oliver.
This asset stripping that you're talking about, Len, that's exactly to the letter that's happened to Shaz. He's stripped, he's been jailed, and you know it's not just a concrete block wall that he's facing. It's corruption, complicity, you name it. They're putting that in front of him, and I've always maintained that. Transparency, accountability, and security, three main words, they are a must for local government, central government, what have you. But more importantly, they must be seen to be working. And if they ain't seen to be working, in all probability, they ain't working. And that is exactly what's happening. And people like, no, not people, I can't say people, referring to Walter, my private computer at AI, but AI will and are doing, and they're starting a campaign to expose these people, the real people. And you look at COVID, for example, the water. Contaminated water. There is not a stream, a pond, or beach that meets the European requirements for bathing and water.
And you've been going on about that for so long, and just thrown into the long grass.
Yes.
Yeah, just like the postman. But it's this use of mental health by the police, which seems to be on the increase, and the weaponization of mental health. And in my case, with Avon and Somerset, it was not the psychiatrists. It was solely the mental health nurses from Somerset NHS Foundation Trust. They were vicious. I've got all their names. I'm delusional about the call to protection. In the next paragraph, the mental health nurse writes, it appears Judge Oliver has held him since 2012. That is correct. He has held me. And they, like I say, they wanted to get me. It was never the intention to take me down the criminal justice route on false allegations of malicious communications. It was to get me to a police station where they could put me in front of mental health nurses and get me sectioned. And what they did, they got me to the police station. They took me downstairs into the custody cell. I had an appropriate adult with me at that time. After about 20 minutes, I got taken to see the medical room to see the G4S nurse. We know her name is M. Bell, but neither G4S or Avon and Somerset will provide me with her full name, so I can refer her to the Nursing Midwifery Council. So at this time, the Chief Constable and the legal counsel for G4S can have vicarious liability for her actions. Because when she filled in that medical report, she no reference to the Call to Protection certificate Avon and Somerset Police had in their possessions. And she made no reference that I had in my possession a brain injury identification card by Headway. She'd done a report that I could be questioned by and be taken to prison if necessary. And thereafter, free mental health.
What was the job title again, Len?
Her name was M. Bell.
N for Norman or M for Mother?
M for Mother, Bell,
yeah.
B-L-L. And she was the custody nurse. And anyway, what happened then? The free mental health nurses appear, the free angels of death, and they provoked me, goaded me. But what was worse, I was wearing a Veterans United Against Suicide t-shirt. Oh, and that just was like a magnet. And they had a field day. never expecting to be caught. And within about 4 weeks, Avon and Somerset Police had destroyed all the custody tapes. And this is another thing which keeps going on. The frequency for which custody tapes are body cameras, the footage is destroyed. Why would the police destroy custody footage if, as it was alleged, I'd made multiple threats against the public on anthrax, and I made threats to a High Court judge? Doesn't
Len, I won't say it on air, but I found the person. I'll send it by email.
Right, okay.
And this is thanks to AI technology.
Oh, well done, well done. But it's been a long battle. But like I say, with people like Alan and Drasford, yourself, Freedom Talk Radio, the late Kevin Ball, the Earth Needs Rebel shows, Chris Brooks, and many others, I finally got to the truth. And so there are some good coppers out there, but they have to deal with you off the record. Why can't they deal with it on the record? And when I was accused of beating up my wife, Thames Valley Police, Jason Hogg, and Chief Constable Campbell, they wouldn't give me the evidence which would clear me of this. Fortunately, the CPS stepped in and provided me with a letter, and they got no records of any assaults on my wife. What an organisation we're going through at the moment. But these people can hand it out, Andy. They don't like it when they get caught. They don't like it. But Alan's correct. Artificial intelligence is very good. I don't fully understand it, but I will try to learn a lot more about it. But I'm basically there. The barristers and the government legal services presently under Susan McGibbon, had held me comatose with drugs, and my house got sold. My assets got absolutely raided by Dominic Brazil, One King's Bench Walk, Graham Stephen Fraser at the time, BP Collins, and other, Helen Mary Clift. And I was just thrown out onto the streets, and they enjoyed every minute of it. But trying to get that data, it's like you go fishing, you cast a rod out, some bait, eventually you'll get a little bite, then eventually you will get there. But someone that has let me have the entire government legal files on my case, I don't know how it got here, but it's on a disc, but I've got them, Andy. I've got all the Bar Standards Ball files, which were destroyed about 13 years ago. They hadn't been destroyed. They were just withheld from me. And that is why I pose such a significant risk.
Yeah, I've sent you it in an email.
Right, good. Thank you.
It didn't appear to be M for Mother Bell. It's N for November.
No,
Bell.
It's M Bell. M Bell.
But maybe that's if you read information, that's probably why you can't find her anywhere.
Yeah, we'll go back and we'll do this. I think it's a valid question. It needs to be answered. But Her Majesty's Inspector of Constabulary, you just I don't know what useful purpose they serve. Occasionally they make a comment, but no. Why is this still going on in 2025? They will single the odd copper out, but no one of senior rank. Very rarely does anyone get put down. Anyway, back to you. Is Alan still with us?
Yeah, I'm still here, mate. I'm listening intently. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, the Shaz case is a very, very good. Whether it's because he's Pakistani, he doesn't get the same help as I do. I don't know. Maybe because I served in the armed forces, that certainly has helped. But when this attack on me, it was vicious, so vicious. Fortunately, the National Crime Agency were good. They were in the background, and the whole thing was being monitored. And how it all started, I got an email from a barrister called Louisa Lloyd Jones, a senior barrister in the government legal department, Treasury, and that accusing me of malicious communications to the family of Simon Oliver. But in that email, there was spyware. It was tracking to who I was communicating with, and we found it. And as a result of that, we knew an attack would come. And surprise, surprise, it's worshipful brother Simon Oliver and his family, using his family members. It's evil.
Yeah, absolutely. As I was saying earlier, I think it would be a good idea, and I'm not trying to force you guys to do anything that you don't wish to do, and I know you won't, is to say something like, I have been introduced to AI and chat to GDP by Alan Dransfield, and that will alarm them straight away. They know that we're I don't care who knows we're working together. The more people that come together and start asking AI, this is where the AI is going to blow them wide open. I'm sure of it.
Yeah, you're right. It's interesting. I had two good attorney generals, Dominic Greaves and Sir Geoffrey Cox, and they were absolutely very good. Cox has been brilliant, and what he's done for me, I can disclose shortly. And even the CPS were asking the police to come out and visit me, and the police weren't taking any notice of the CPS, Thames Valley. So what are these senior officers up to?
Well, they're all sleeping in the same bed, mate. It's all they're complicit. There's no doubt in my mind the good side of this AI, and I can see there will be thousands of people that are made redundant because this machine, Walter, as I've affectionately called him, that can you imagine all the typing that goes on with personal secretaries? The AI just whizzes through them. I mean, they could tell you everything about the Bible or whatever, or religious book or whatever you want to talk about, mechanics, all within seconds. I mean, it is absolutely phenomenal what they're doing and what they can do and be able to do. What we need to do is to grow the army. There will be no fighting from our side. There will be no bullets fired. AI will tell you what's the best way forward. And getting back to my road traffic accident, they've said, look, do this, go to your doctors, get your medical results, blah 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 blah, and they've given their opinion, and then they write a skeleton argument for me to introduce on the 2nd of June. Because I mean, they're saying, AI, Walter is saying, look, there's no way that this could have happened, and they claimed before I, well, no, not before I did, is the good old Lord Denning, Fraud Unravels All. That was 1956, and then we had another one in 2018, Fraud Unravels All, and most of these cases where vexatious fraud is there, and fraud must be unraveled. You're talking about judges there. They're cheating, lying, thieving scoundrels. And my good friends at Facebook this week, they gave me, I've had 30 days, months and months and months continuous. Just now, over 3 days ago, they banned me for 3 days because I called our Prime Minister. It sounds like MAGA that begins with an F. And what's that all about? And you know, you might think I'm going berserk. I've called our Prime Minister out to say, look, I offer you a duel. Let's go back 300 years with the sword. No, I don't want a sword. I want to meet you on the lawns of Westminster, and we will have a bare knuckle fist fight. But they haven't responded. And no, I'm not going crazy. I would love to kick him all around the Westminster lawns at 75 years of age with 2 new hips.
Pardon me. That's good.
So,
Wow.
may I ask, guys, are you going to take advantage of this AI?
Yeah, I'm going to try it.
So what you need to do is do a Google search on the chat GPT.
Golf Papa Tango.
That's the one. That's the one. And it'll come back to you before you put your pen down or your keyboard. And they say, well, how can I help you? And if you just give them a brief on Len Lawrence or Andy Peacher, they'll come back to you. And they're
actually, just to let everyone know that it does have some negative things, because when I put my name in, it calls me a hosted research supporter and a supporter of a paedophile, Peter Offshore. It doesn't actually say all the good stuff I've done in the middle. So it can have a bit of a negative.
Well, yes, I understand that, and I'm sure that this AI can be corrected. And what somebody's jumping on that to say you are supporting a paedophile, that is not the case. And when you look at it, you find out what you've done and what you're trying to achieve. And I think, I mean, there's 3 people here talking tonight. I think this army is going to grow. Can you imagine AI on Tommy Robinson?
Oh, that'd be amazing.
Can you imagine that on, who was the guy, the American guy, the Australian guy, Assange, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And Assange was prevented his legal, civil and human rights via the Dransfield vexatious case. His lawyers could not get discovery of documents because he's vexatious. It's bonkers, mate. It's bonkers. Was
it Lady Justice Hallett who was involved in your case?
No, Lady Justice Arden. Justice Arden, Arden.
Yeah,
and she's the lady that said vexatiousness starts when a freedom of information request from a freedom of information requester has no value to him, no value to the public in large. How and why can anybody, never mind a Court of Appeal judge, say that? Does she know what that guy has? She got a crystal ball? And that's what stands now. That is the foundation of vexatious court definition. The FOI has been running since 2000. It started actually in 2005. So that's 20 years. And there is still no definition of vexatious. And AI's picked this up, and to say that those judges were wrong. Judges do not make the law. They apply the law. They had no right to make that vexation. What they wanted to do, you see, and our good old friend Wanker Wycliffe, they wanted to a concrete foundation to stop all people, general public, for getting information. That is what the FOI was designed for by Billy Liar Blair, because he said, look, the Labour Party are so wonderful. If you want to hold people to account, you must be able to use the FOI. In his book, some later, 10, 15 years on, he said something, what a idiot, I can't remember the word he used, what an idiot I was to try to give the general public information. Yes, you were, but the general public have been prevented from using and holding people to account. That's what it was designed for.
Amazing.
Yeah, so get it going, and hey, you've both got my telephone number. It's so simple to do. Get on there, ask questions, but what you don't want to do is ask them to seek it, and they'll come back and tell you, look, we are not a organisation that gives you legal advice.
Andy, have you interviewed Shez Hussein yet?
He was invited. I think he was busy.
Well, I'll chase him up, and I could come on with him because we're on a very similar path, very, very similar path.
We're all going down that avenue, mate. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, I don't know. I mean, you know, we're on air now. I think Shaz is a very proud man, and it's hard to talk publicly, I think, sometimes, but you never know.
Oh no! I have to correction you on that one, Andy. He is a fine speaker. I know I'm a bit crude sometimes, but he speaks very well, and he's very clear, and he can back up his words, and I think he will be going to see Walter at the GPT, the AI. AI is the way forward. It really is. We've got to make the most of it. And can you imagine if we get to thousands of people using AI?
Yep, who knows?